This video is brought to you by Eureka Ergonomics' new Matthias office chair, inspired by the legendary Eames design but adapted with improved ergonomics for prolonged use at a desk. The Matthias is the perfect complement to your home office or gaming setup. Get 8% off when you use offer code SKILLUP. Stick around to the end of the video to learn more. First up, let's clarify why the single player campaign review is getting its own video separate from the multiplayer review. Well, it's two things. Number one, my rating system. Someone asked me, so you're gonna recommend Battlefield 6? And I was like, hell yeah, man, I fucking love it. And then they were like, oh, so it's a strong recommend then. And I'm like, nah, the single player kind of sucks, so I guess it's gotta be a recommend. Then I was like, you know what? That doesn't sound right. I mean, most games are singular, contiguous packages, so it makes sense that you can review them holistically. Battlefield 6, though, is essentially two offerings, an absolutely fantastic multiplayer mode and a really average single player mode. Given the disparity between those two offerings, I think it makes sense to give them their own rating, much like IGN did when they scored the campaign 5 out of 10, and they're doing the multiplayer review separately. The other thing is that as I started writing this, I ended up having more to say about it than I thought, and it didn't make sense to spend half of a Battlefield 6 review talking about the worst part of the package when the other half is that good. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do a campaign review now and a multiplayer review probably tomorrow. Spoiler alert, just so you know what's coming. I plan to strongly recommend the multiplayer. I absolutely love it. I haven't stopped playing it since launch. Battlefield is incredibly back. But the single player, not so much.
On it.
Just to set expectations at the right level, similar to what I said in my preview, I don't think Battlefield 6's campaign is the worst thing ever, but it's definitely the worst part of this package, and I think it represents a huge missed opportunity for EA, given that they likely funneled a huge amount of resources into this and it didn't amount to much. What resources, you ask? Well, believe it or not, EA actually set up a whole ass studio for this. It was called Ridgeline Games and it was led by one Marcus Lido, who earlier in his career had worked on the original Halo. He'd later go on to found his own studio, V1 Interactive, which was shuttered after the release of the disappointing Disintegration, a third-person RTS hybrid that, honestly, we don't have time to go into that, but it wasn't good. Anyway, EA sets up this new studio in Seattle, and the remit is a really ambitious one. It's not just to build the campaign for the next Battlefield game, but to build out the storytelling potential of the Battlefield universe. Now, we don't know any of the detail behind this, obviously, but you can imagine that EA looked at what COD had with its Black Ops and its Modern Warfare series, games that each had a general storytelling vibe and some continuity lore and some recurring characters. It's not much, but it's enough that Captain Price is basically a household name, and if you were to ever do any transmedia stuff like a TV show or movie or whatever, there'd be some narrative threads to tug at. So that studio gets set up with these lofty goals, and 2 years later, it's shut down with Marcus Lido exiting EA. What went wrong, question mark? We don't know, but what we do know is that the work previously being handled by Ridgeline had to be spread out across other studios, with Criterion taking the lead. The game is now roughly 18 months from launch, and subsequent Ars Technica reporting says that the single player stuff was nowhere near far enough along, so they had to really scramble to pull something together. The results kind of speak for themselves, sadly. I went through that whole history lesson to provide context as to why this is not good. I do believe that EA went into this with the right intentions. Perhaps Vince Zampella imagined a single-player campaign that was spoken of as fondly as the Titanfall 2 campaign is. Didn't work out that way though, not even close, and I do think that context probably explains why. As for the substance of the campaign, look, just imagine the most generic band of hoorah yelling jarheads you can think of squaring off against a private military force that is well-resourced enough to go toe-to-toe with the US military. Imagine a turret sequence in Gibraltar, and then imagine a turret sequence in New York. Hell, go crazy and imagine a turret sequence in even more locations, and you have a pretty good idea of what to expect from the Battlefield 6 campaign. It's not really worth going into too much detail, I guess, but we'll cover off some of it. You play as Dagger 13, an elite squad of Marines who each have specific skills that make them the best of the best. Their point man, Murphy, lost his squad when Pax Armata attacked, and now he's the tip of the spear in the battle to preserve freedom. Pax Armata is what you get when a corporation is too risk-averse to name a specific nation the bad guy in a fictional video game. It's a truly ludicrous concept about the collapse of NATO and some private military force somehow gain control of those former member states' military hardware, and they have so much force projection that they can launch an attack into the heart of New York City.
Support's on the way! Oh, God.
Allow me to get a little deep for a second. I'm reminded of EA's Skate, which was released last month. Everyone agrees that the core skate mechanics of that game are fantastic. And the social sandbox the game offers is brilliant, and you really don't need to spend a dime to enjoy it. Thumbs up all round, right? Well, wrong, because skate fans really don't have a lot of love for this game because the wrapper around all of this is vacuous and lifeless and safe for work and AI-led, and it's this corporate veneer that feels utterly soulless. It's totally at odds with the history of the Skate franchise, but also the history of skating itself, which is inherently anti-establishment. Back in the day, EA embraced that subculture and it made for an authentic feeling skate game. Now it feels like it's an imperative for corporations to avoid any and everything that might offend, and so what you get is Skate's sanitized wrapper that ignores a central aspect of skate culture. And what you also get is Battlefield 6's nationless bad guys and a story that awkwardly skirts around one of the defining aspects of most warfare: conflict between nation states. If EA weren't going to deliver a compelling geopolitical drama, the least they could have done is deliver a compelling personal drama based on, whole band of brothers thing, the importance of your squad mates, yada yada. The game tries to do a little bit of that, but honestly, it just doesn't work. The entire squad is so unlikable. They're each like charisma black holes. I really struggle to remember a single thing that any of them said or did. It's like if ChatGPT were asked to write edgy Marine characters, you'd get these people.
If you read as much as Martinez, you'd stop bitching about the wrong Georgia.
So in absence of geopolitics or personal drama, perhaps Battlefield 6's campaign could have leaned into mechanics and mission design. It doesn't really do that either, except in the most superficial sense. Campaign is set in a variety of locations that also feature in the multiplayer, but this is not a simple repurposing of multiplayer maps. Every level is its own bespoke, curated, single-player focused space with unique locations that aren't half bad. The act of parking a tank in the middle of a highway in Cairo and then just shooting other tanks like fish in a barrel is concerningly basic, but it is, admittedly, fun to be driving a tank down a highway in Cairo. It looks cool, it feels cool. Same could be said of Gibraltar, with its dense, winding streets culminating in an expansive town square showdown. These single-player campaigns for these multiplayer shooters are often globe-trotting affairs in the same way that the Fast and the Furious movies are, reliant on a change of scenery to add texture where things like plot or characterization fall short.
I don't know what's more impressive. You or firepower.
But there's only so much that change of scenery can do. Eventually you got to get to the actual playing of this thing, and EA were running low on either time or ideas, but probably both, because very little of this hits the mark. I realize that most of you wouldn't have played this and probably never will play it, so I thought I'd give you just a brief overview of the mission so you know what this is all about. First mission is set in Georgia, where Pax Armada suddenly attacks your base, and after a lengthy turret sequence, you're tasked with planting C4 to detonate a vital intelligence facility.
Gotta hurry. C4 on those support pillars should bring the whole place down.
After that, we're off to Gibraltar for an impressive looking skydive, followed by some cheeky sniping. Still in Gibraltar, we do a stirring beach landing, followed by a mission where we play as an engineer tasked with keeping a tank alive through the RPG-filled streets.
RPG! Take cover! Taking damage. Army, prepare Charlie 5!
Suddenly, we're in Egypt for a night mission that features a few stealth takedowns and a lot of night vision. Next up, we're off to Brooklyn to take down a Pax Armada HQ hidden somewhere in the terraces. After that, we're tasked with getting the president out of New York since his motorcade was blown to hell. A lot of fighting on stoops in this one.
Enemy gone! Hold the line! Reloading!
Then there's that Cairo tank mission, which really comes out of nowhere and feels very disjointed from the main story. Then we've got what I think is the best mission in the game, a freeform map set in Tajikistan where you can complete some objectives in whatever order you please.
Launcher down!
And then we wrap the whole thing up by storming an airfield, and the whole thing wraps up without so much as a final shootout with the big bad guy.
Engage!
Now you may listen to all of this and think to yourself, hey, that doesn't sound so bad, and you would be right. It's what I said at the start of this review. It isn't bad, but it's not good either, because while each of these missions look like they're accomplishing something, they really aren't. Take that tank mission in Cairo, for example. Sounds like it'd be cool to participate in a big tank battle on a highway. The reality is you can just park your tank in the middle of the road and shoot at the dumb enemies, and they really can't do anything in response because, I don't know, they just can't. The stealth-focused mission on the streets of Cairo is another example. It's meant to be, you know, stealthy and whatever, but it's just so basic. It's literally just guy walks past you and stands with his back so you can then sneak up behind for a takedown. That mission when you're clearing house in Brooklyn, breaching doors while enemies wait at the other side, It is basically that mission from Call of Duty, but not as good because the tension just isn't there in the same way, and the enemy AI is ridiculously stupid.
Enemy through the wall!
All of these scenarios and set pieces do exist. They let you do a thing, but they don't quite click together because not enough work was put in to make them feel truly engaging or immersive. They feel like gimmicky sideshows that are designed to break up the corridor shooting.
Reloading! Cover me!
The one exception to this, and I really want to give it credit, is this mission in Tajikistan. This is the only mission that feels like an actual mission with some choices to make and some interesting objectives to grapple with and some set pieces that feel like more than just interactive cutscenes. Where the rest of the campaign is set in very small linear spaces, this level is massive, encompassing a wide open landscape, a seaside basin housing multiple SAM sites, and even a dam. The SAM sites need to be taken down, and the first 3 are in an area that allows you to choose the order you bring them down, and also the means by which you do so. As a sniper, you can play this entire mission at range, but if you prefer to go in with a shotgun or mount up on a vehicle, then that works too. Later on, there's another SAM site hidden behind a mountain range, and you have to make your way over there and take it down by some means. And the end sees you fighting a helicopter while disabling anti-aircraft guns atop a dam that you just know is going to get blown up at some point. Sure enough, EA does not disappoint. So that's like a proper ass mission. It almost reminded me of Halo at times. I actually kind of really liked it, and I think it lent into what makes Battlefield interesting. Scale, choices, contending with artillery in a meaningful way rather than just parking yourself in the middle of a highway like some carnival game. And this really got me thinking about what sort of game you might be able to make if you leaned into Battlefield's strengths. The squad thing is so central to the Battlefield formula. It would have been really nice to see that leaned on a little more as a narrative tool. You do get some of that here in Battlefield 6's campaign, but it feels cold and impersonal rather than being something that allows the squad to bond, like they need each other's skills and they know it. From a gameplay perspective, it's kind of wild that this campaign is single player when you always have 3 AI squad mates with you. I'm guessing that EA were planning to make this co-op, but those plans got nixed when it came time to get this thing out the door. At the very least, the ability to switch between squad mates would have been nice, since it might have allowed you to approach missions slightly differently, but that would also require a lot more flexibility in the mission design. I think about destruction as a core tenet of this franchise, and how does the campaign leverage that? It doesn't, except when you're watching stuff blow up in cutscenes. I think about aircraft and the fact that I never got to control a helicopter or a jet during the entire campaign. Even things like progression and loadouts, those are big parts of Battlefield, and I never got to choose who I would play in a mission, what I bring into the fight, and I never got the satisfaction of unlocking new kit as I move through this campaign. I know I'm just wishlisting stuff here, but my point is, there's a lot that makes Battlefield, Battlefield, and this campaign reflects basically none of that. You have some incredible pillars on which to build a unique, compelling single-player experience, and instead, we're mostly just playing something that feels like Call of Duty rather than Battlefield, or more like those 360 era shooters that we used to play in the past, only now we're not allowed to say that any specific country are the bad guys, because we don't want to risk missing out on box sales. So look, this isn't great, but context matters. Number one, clearly there were some problems with the development of this campaign experience, and the team did the best they could with the time they had. I think it's a bummer, as I suspect EA no longer has any single player aspirations for Battlefield, and that really sucks because this sandbox could be harnessed to create something great, but that's probably never going to happen now. The other important piece of context is, as disappointing as this is, it doesn't really matter that much. The real test of a Battlefield game is its multiplayer, and as I've said from the start of this video, it's a test that EA is passing with flying colors right now. It's just fantastic, and I look forward to talking more about it tomorrow. I will strongly recommend Battlefield 6's multiplayer, but its campaign, let's just say that if you're a single player focused gamer, I definitely wouldn't be shelling out $70 to experience this. This video is brought to you by Eureka Ergonomic and the new Matthias office chair. If the design looks a little familiar, then that's no accident. It is inspired by the legendary Eames lounge chair, first introduced back in 1956. The The design stood the test of time because of its comfort and elegance, and now Eureka Ergonomic bring their expertise to bear by adapting the design to a home office setting. Changes to the overall alignment and backrest make the Matthias a sort of chair that can be used all day long while sitting at a desk, with adjustable height and tilt settings to ensure maximum comfort. Aesthetically, the Matthias retains that classic elegance, and premium build quality and materials ensure that it'll stand the test of time. Made with real top grain leather and with a sculpted walnut veneer, this is a chair that becomes a statement piece in whatever room it's in. I've long ago sworn off the classic gamer chairs, terrible ergonomics, and I just don't like the look of them anymore, but I absolutely love my Matthias. I think it completes my office, and it's so plush and well designed that I can spend hours in it without ever feeling uncomfortable. If you'd like to grab one, Eureka are offering a special discount to viewers of this channel. Use offer code SKILLUP at checkout to get 8% off your order. That's only for a limited time though, so do get in quick. That's offer code SKILLUP at checkout for 8% off. Click the link below to check it out. Thanks Eureka Ergonomic for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching it.